Hello, I'm Palm Beach County Superintendent Donald Fenoy. Thank you for joining us for this community meeting hosted by District 6 School Board member Marcia Andrews. Tonight, you will hear important updates related to the district's next strategic plan and learn more about the equity-focused work undertaken by our school board in recent months. On April 14th, the school board worked together to create a new mission and vision for the district that will also be shared tonight. Both the mission and vision will serve as a strong foundation for the development of our next strategic plan. I know Mrs. Andrews is eager to share these updates with you tonight, as well as solicit feedback during this community meeting using interactive poll questions and the chat box feature. Before she kicks things off, I did want to take a moment to formally introduce her. Marcia Andrews was first elected to the school board in November 2010, and since then she has been a champion for the Glades and Western communities. She established the Glades Readiness Roundtable as well as school board members' satellite office in the Glades to ensure school board meetings could be simulcast live, including tonight's community meeting. As a dedicated professional with more than 40 years of experience working for the school district of Palm Beach County, she has a passion for helping others and holds leadership roles at the local, state, and national levels through her work with the Council of Great City Schools. I want to personally thank her and the entire school board for taking the time to connect with these constituents via these community meetings. We look forward to your continued engagement in the process as we work together to create a better educational system for every student in Palm Beach County. Thank you for participating and have a wonderful evening.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you, Dr. Fenoy, for that introduction. I am Marcia Andrews, school board member for District 6. It is my honor to be the school board member for District 6. My work with the school district of Palm Beach County expands over 40 years. I have enjoyed wonderful experiences serving as a teacher, assistant principal, and chief of human resources. As a resident of District 6 for 31 years and your elected school board member for 11 years, I am proud of my relationship with the stakeholders of District 6. My commitment to you is unwavering. Tonight, your voice and active participation in the next 5-year strategic plan is critical. As a school board, our focus is on equity for each student. This meeting is the first of many where you will have opportunities for participation. And I just want to stop for a minute and say something that's so important to me and for you. It has been a difficult year this past year. COVID-19 struck the world, and we experienced many heartaches with this pandemic. Our students, they have been so brave, but it has taken a toll on them, emotionally and academically. And I want to say tonight, thank you. Thank you to our schools, our principals, teachers and staff, the district administration and staff, the buses, the transportation department, maintenance, school food service, you kept us fed, the entire team of Palm Beach County School District. I say to you tonight, you are our heroes. All of you continue to make learning a priority for the students each day. You care, your consideration, and your love gives our students the strength to make it through these difficult times. And I want to thank the parents and the community for all you have done for the students during these times. This COVID-19 pandemic has been terrible for all of us, but we are surviving and we will get back to normal. And I want to say to the parents, I know many of you are thinking about the students returning to school in August, and you're worried about it. And I know you're worried about it. And I hear your worries and your frustrations and wondering, how is it going to work for my student in August? Well, we still have 4 months before anything will happen. And I want you to know my ears and eyes are open to make sure that I'm communicating with you. The health and safety of our students and staff is our #1 priority. I know you're thinking about it because we're hearing a lot about the mask or unmasked for students and staff. We hear all of your concerns. We see your emails, and we will be responding to you. We think about our ESE students with their IEP restrictions. We will take care of them because we know that there's no one size that fits all for our students. And then you think about social distancing. When everybody gets back, will we be able to spread out so that everybody can be safe? This school board has the responsibility to make sure we meet the needs of each individual student at all times. And we are committed parents to making sure your children are safe. We continue to monitor COVID-19 transmission with the county. We look at those rates to see how we're doing at the county, the state, and the national level. We're working in conjunction with the healthcare officials from the county and communicating daily. And I promise you, parents, we will continue to keep you informed because it truly is about making sure that everyone is safe and healthy to start a brand new school year. So, as we kick off this strategic plan meeting tonight, I want you to know I'm listening and looking for your questions and responses as we start this equity journey. The school board is excited. We're excited to tell you about our new vision, mission, and equity statement. And I look forward to working together with you on our new strategic plan with the focus on equity lens to make sure that we meet the needs of every and each individual student. And now I want to introduce our moderator for this evening, Miss Amy Litman.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Mrs. Andrews. My name is Amy Litman. I work in the communications department for the school district, and I want to thank all of you at home for joining us this evening. While, of course, we'd love to be able to connect with you in person in a traditional sort of setting, for now, what we have here is a virtual meeting that will hopefully be the next best option to get all of your feedback and hear your questions tonight. I will serve as your moderator this evening, which means I will monitor the chat right there on YouTube and pass along the questions that you share. As a reminder, the purpose of this meeting is to hear your thoughts and goals for the district for the next several years as part of the district's next strategic plan. We are thinking big picture here, so try to wrap your mind around the next several years when you're giving your feedback and asking questions tonight. Mrs. Andrews will share updates on where we're at with the development of the next strategic plan and what we even mean by strategic plan. We want to hear your feedback throughout the meeting tonight. So we will actually have interactive polls and question prompts. You can get ready for that right now. If you're on your computer, you can open a new tab or you can pull out your phone and go to menti.com. So we realize that you may have some questions about day-to-day operations, as Mrs. Andrews was saying, or how the new school year will look. And I do want to let you know we have many other upcoming meetings planned to address those concerns specifically. We recently held a back-to-school community update that you can find on our website, palmbeachschools.org. And tomorrow at 5 p.m., we will be holding a Facebook Live event about learning opportunities for students over the summer. We welcome you all to tune in. Find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at PBCSD. Also make sure that we have the correct contact information on file with you. You can check with your school's data processor on that. So that way you're getting all of our newsletters, emails, text messages, phone calls, and really staying in the know. We're in this community engagement phase of the next strategic plan, and the district launched a survey about long-term suggestions and goals. That community feedback survey received 28,000 responses. You can tune into a school board workshop next week on May 5th to hear those results. So we certainly look forward to hearing what people had to say during that survey. And now is your chance to start taking some interactive polls with us. So tell us about yourself. First, you're going to go to menti.com, use code 20681444. You can also, if you happen to be on your computer and you have a phone nearby, you can scan that funky looking thing in the bottom corner there. It's called a QR code. You can scan that on your Photos app. It'll bring up a link on the top. You'll click that and it'll bring you straight to menti.com. So tell us about yourself. Are you a parent with a child in one of our schools? Maybe a grandparent or a family member. B, maybe you're a district employee or a parent and a district employee. We certainly have many of those out there given the size of our district and staff. You could be a student enrolled at one of our schools. We love to have students involved tonight. Or maybe you're a community member. I know the Glades especially and the Western communities have extremely involved community members. As proven right here, you're seeing live results. We have a couple community members out there. Parents, district employees, parents and district employees. Whoever you are, we are so happy that you're watching this evening. And if you don't have access to Menti, you're welcome to use the chat at any point to respond to any of these questions. We do have staff who will be monitoring it and passing it along to the Strategic Plan Steering Committee. Now, while those of you who go on Menti, during that time while we're waiting for those results, we do have a chat question for you too. So tell us why you're here tonight. What is the reason that you attended this meeting this evening? Mrs. Andrews, what is one of the reasons that you think your constituents would attend tonight?
I think they're attending this meeting because they want to be active participants as we begin to think about what we're going to do to increase student achievement for the next 5 years. They want their voices heard.
I definitely agree. And we want to make sure their voices are heard, and we want them to know that we will be documenting everything tonight. Let's see. William says he wants to give input on the strategic plan. That's exactly why we're here, William. Thank you so much. Jennifer says to be more informed about her child's education or children's education. Julie Highsmith says to be informed and share that information with other parents. Those are all wonderful reasons, and hopefully we will be fulfilling those promises this evening and getting to those goals for everyone. Mrs. Andrews, can you start off with telling us what is a strategic plan?
Yes, Amy, and for the audience. A strategic plan is a plan that defines our priorities when it comes to student outcomes and organizational success. It serves as our North Star by providing a clear, structured path to reaching long-term goals and priorities. Now, Palm Beach County School District has a strategic plan, and it's actually sunsetting this year. It started in 2016, and it's finishing up right as we speak. And it's important for us to look at where we've been to know where we're going. And I want to say, when we started our strategic plan in 2016, we focused on the 4 long-term outcomes: third grade reading improvements, high school readiness, the graduation rate, and post-graduation success. So those are the things as a community we said were our long-term goals the last time around. But this time, we don't want to make any plans until we get the voices from the people. We're in COVID-19, and our lives have been turned upside down, and our priorities have changed. And we have to look at ourselves now and reimagine how we can educate our students, how we can make equity happen for all students, and know that we're meeting the needs of each individual student. When I think about reading at 3rd grade, I just know that we've got to do more VPK, early childhood, getting the children when they're 3 years old and getting them into the school building to let them know about reading and books and see the teachers and learning. And when we talk about high school readiness, I think about the discussions that we'll have about how we get students in advanced placement courses, ACE courses, and more arts, music, and PE for them so that they can have many opportunities to excel academically, socially, and emotionally. And you know, we've been looking at data as a school board for the last few months as we get ready for this strategic plan. And so we've seen the data. We know where our children are. We see them. We see the ones who are struggling. Palm Beach County is an A-rated district, high performing, and I'm so happy for that. But we still need to help those students who are struggling. And when we think about our ELL students, our Black and Brown students, our ESE students, homeless, LGBTQ students, free and reduced lunch students, foster care students, and the list goes on. We know where they are. We see them. And as a community, we've got to put programs and practices and academic instruction together, working with our teachers and our schools and our administration to make sure we reach each and every student. And so this strategic plan is critical because it has an equity lens. We're looking to find out what's needed for each and every student. And every student is different, so we've got to come up with a plan for each student. So as we begin to talk about involving the community in the academic plan here that we're working on with our involvement of the community and participating for our strategic plan, we have 3 phases that we're looking at. Phase 1, we're sitting in it right now. This is the phase where we've actually asked you to fill out the feedback surveys. We had 28,000, as you heard Amy say, people who filled out the survey, district employees, school-based employees, community. All of you have been filling out those surveys. And now we're sitting here in this community meeting for you to tell us what you think about where we need to go in the next 5 years. And then when we get into the second phase, we have a strategic planning steering committee who will be working on the goals and objectives based on what you said in the survey. We have a special meeting on May 26th, a public meeting where we'll be able to look at the goals associated with the measures shared as a part of this workshop. So everything that you're saying, we're taking note of it because it is important that we get your voice. And we'll have focus groups in late May and early June to inform of all of the revisions of things that we're talking about before we make final decisions. So, you know, we have a website if you want to participate in a focus group. It's palmbeachschools.org strategic plan. And if you want to actually participate and comment, you can also see our strategic plan in action at strategic plan palmbeachschools.org. So we're looking for your ideas and your input on where we go from here. And the last phase is the cultivating stage, where we targeted the feedback that was collected by you and the surveys, the focus groups, the steering committee. We're looking at all of that information to come up with where we go for the next 5 years. And we're going to have that public meeting on May 26th to hear from the focus groups. And by July, around that time, we'll be actually coming back to the school board, making recommendations. And remember, we do have this website. It's called Strategic Plan at palmbeachschools.org. You can go on there and get any information you want, join a committee, and participate actively before anything is finalized as it relates to our students. So in July, we'll be finishing up 6 months of work here. And we hope that we can address all the things needed to provide equity for each and every student here in the Palm Beach County School District.
Here's everyone's next chance to give us some of their feedback. Again, we'll be sprinkling in these polls throughout the remainder of this evening. So you're going to go to menti.com, use code 20681444, or you can scan that little funny thing called a QR code there with your phone, and tell us what should be the district's top priority for the next strategic plan. Do you think it should be mental health and social emotional wellness, school safety, educational equity for every student, accelerating student learning, investments in technology and associated learning, or maybe not listed here? And if you want to put that in the chat, or if you can't access Mentimeter, that's no problem. You can absolutely put your response to this in the chat. I know it's really hard to choose between these various options here. Mrs. Andrews, what do you think your community, we'll find out shortly once we get some results up, but what do you think your community really cares about of these different priorities?
I think they care about several, but I'll start and kind of prioritize them. Educational equity for every student. I think that's real critical. And I know mental health, now that we're in this pandemic, and social and emotional wellness is real big. And for school safety, we want to keep all of our schools safe. But, you know, with the referendum a few years ago, thanks to all of the community for voting to make sure we have an officer, a police officer in every school, as well as mental health counselors in every school. So those three right there at the top are very important. And I think the accelerating student learning due to COVID, that's a big one too. So it's hard for me to pick any one. I think I have to bundle them all up because we need them.
And I think that we're certainly not saying here, that there's only going to be one priority for the strategic plan. I think it'll include a mix of, a bit of each of these to hopefully then grow everyone in all of these areas. So you are absolutely correct, Mrs. Andrews, in predicting that educational equity would be extremely important to your district. That's in the lead right now for top priorities. Accelerating student learning also is, especially with some of the delays that we know have happened over this past year with the pandemic and distance learning. And mental health is up there too. And the reality is, of course, if you address mental health, you also at the same time are contributing to safer schools. You are in turn accelerating student learning by allowing students to be able to be at the top of their academic game if their mental health needs and their emotional needs are addressed as well. We really appreciate everyone who is contributing to this. We even have some going in the chat there to let us know what they think too. So we do have another chat box question for you as well. Just go ahead and use the chat box here on YouTube to tell us if you have any specific questions related to the development of the next strategic plan. You can also always email any of your feedback to strategicplan@palmbeachschools.org. So if everyone just wants to take a moment, if you have any questions about the next strategic plan, go ahead and put them in the chat. And in the meantime, we will have one more poll question on Menti. And that one, if we can pull that up, there it is. Would you be interested in attending or comfortable attending an in-person community meeting in the future to hear more about the next strategic plan? Let us know whether that's yes, no, or unsure at this time. I know for a lot of people, these virtual meetings work really well because they can be home during it, or maybe you're in the car, hopefully paying attention to the road, but maybe you're just getting home from work. I think you can do things at the same time. But of course, Mrs. Andrews, I'm sure you would agree that experiencing these sorts of feedback meetings in person is very different and allows for more unique kinds of interactions.
I agree. But right now, because of safety, we'll have to do it just this way. And we'll make a gallant effort to make sure we do enough of these meetings so that we can get the input back from our stakeholders.
Absolutely. So next up, Mrs. Andrews, can you share with us how we are approaching the next strategic plan and the role that equity plays?
Well, equity is so important. And I'm so excited because the school board has been meeting now for a couple of months. And we know that with this pandemic, it has created a lot of learning situations where we have to improve how we actually provide instruction. A lot of our children have had some losses here as it relates to academic achievement. And so we've got to rethink how we're going to provide support and attention and academic rigor for all of our children. And we had problems before COVID. But COVID has actually enhanced the problems that we see within our district for many of our children who were struggling before. They're struggling now even more. And so when we look at the disparities, as we look at the different groups within our school district, the data clearly shows that we have a lot to do. It shows and it exists between students from different neighborhoods, different schools and backgrounds. And we've got to make sure that we talk to our community, talk to our schools, get your input, because it's important that we all put together a plan this time that's going to meet the needs of each student, and every student is different. So we have to look at the backgrounds, and equity is truly important. We have to look at our resources, our human resources, our financial resources, and begin to put together plans of action so that we can have programs in place, support systems in place to help the students who truly need the help, as well as help all those students come out of this COVID pandemic in a way that's going to help them to excel. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the curb cut effect when we talk about equity. And you may not have heard about the curb cut effect, but it's a great thing. When we have curb cut in our community, in our schools, it means that everybody wins. It's a win-win. Everybody benefits from a curb cut effect. Now, it started with some disability advocates, and they looked at people in wheelchairs. They couldn't get across the street, or they had hindrances to get where they needed to go. And these advocates got together and said, we're going to do something about this. As a result, for the sidewalks, they actually did those indentations to make sure that wheelchairs could go in and out, crossing the street on a crosswalk, coming up on a sidewalk. Wheelchairs could get by. And it takes advocacy, it takes leadership, and people seeing where there's issues as it relates to people having equal access to step up. And so now, you know, once this happened some years back, you ride around in every community, at every shopping mall, you see the curves, you see the sidewalks and the indentations for the handicaps. But guess who else is using that? You see people with baby strollers. They can now get across the street. If you're going on a trip and you're making it to the airport, guess what? You're going to be going to one of those sidewalk indentations so that you can pull your luggage. And if you're on a bicycle, you know it's hard to get up on the curb. So when we see an inequity and we make a difference to make equity happen, like we did for the wheelchair users, it's a win-win for everybody. So when we think about the curb cut, it really is something that we have to look at, because it's laws and it's powers and policies that help benefit groups of people who've been marginalized, like people of color and disabled. And we see that they're not getting what everybody else is getting. So that equity piece during the curb cut effect help us to make sure that we have a level playing field for community, for the students within our school, to make sure that they can be successful. And we have to prioritize what we're going to do for students. When we look at our data, it shows us that our Black students, our brown students, and our ESC and ELL students, free and reduced lunch students, a lot of these children, homeless students, LGBTQ students, they are having difficulty here in the Palm Beach County. We're A-rated and we're high performing, but we've got to dig down to the equity level to make sure that we meet the needs of all these children, as well as putting them in advanced placement classes if needed, ACE, IB courses. We don't want anyone to be denied the opportunity to be able to excel, because sometimes people are marginalized. We marginalize our students by not giving them everything that they need for success. Just like the people that were in the wheelchairs. People didn't pay attention. This is get across the street the best way you can. But advocates came together to make a difference, to get those sidewalk indentations, and it was great for everybody. So when we think about the curb cut effect, we're thinking about the equity that we're going to be talking about for our school district. We're not leaving anybody behind. We're looking at what students do not have, and we're going to bring it to them so that they can get to the next level. And as we work with the community, you see it, you know what it is. As board members, we see it. Schools, you see it. Teachers and principals, and we all, community, education professionals, all of us will work together to make sure that we share a focus on equity that will benefit every student. And we are adopting a new mission and vision, and I'm pretty excited about our new mission and vision statements. And the board members sat through quite a few meetings because we had to examine ourselves to know that we have to do better for all of our children. And we're elected to make a difference from the policy level to make sure that no child is left behind. So it's my pleasure to read to you the mission statement developed by the school board on April 14. And it said, the mission of the school district of Palm Beach County is to educate, affirm, and inspire each student in an equity embedded school system. Beautiful words we're ready to implement. And we're also adopting a new vision statement developed by all of us, talking it through, knowing what we have to do to make a difference for all of our children. And it says this, our new vision statement developed by the board on April 14, it says, we envision the school district of Palm Beach County is an educational and working environment where both students and staff are unimpeded by bias or discrimination. Individuals of all backgrounds and experiences are embraced, affirmed, and inspired. Each and every one will succeed and flourish. The school district of Palm Beach County will take ownership for students' academic mastery, emotional intelligence, and social emotional needs by creating environments where students, families, staff, and communities will develop agency and voice. And this is a special part. A joy of learning is fostered in every student, and a positive vision for their future is nurtured. Each student's cultural heritage is valued, and their physical, emotional, academic, and social needs are met. We see you. We see you, students. We see you, Palm Beach County School District, and we will make a difference because we see you.
Amy, yeah, you're
Sorry,
muted.
here I am. Sorry, everybody. I was saying, while muted, live television problems, right? We hope that everyone at home really felt, your passion there and the meaning behind those words, which is exactly what we want to hear from those at home. Which words stood out to you? Tell us. We're going to make an interactive word cloud in that on menti.com. Use code 20681444. Again, you can scan that QR code there with your phone if you happen to be on your computer right now, and tell us which words or phrases from the mission or vision stand out to you. I know for me, seeing the words inspire, succeed, flourish, those really stood out to me. And we look forward to seeing what everyone else thinks for what stood out to them. We're actually going to go back. So those of you who didn't have a chance to maybe catch a couple of words, you can see them right there. Mrs. Andrews, what part really stands out to you? I know you read the "We See You" twice. Is that what you would choose here if you had to choose a couple of words or phrases?
Well, I just want students to know that we see them. We know where the groups are that we're leaving behind. As I've mentioned them twice already tonight, we see you, and we're going to help you. And it's going to take the school board, it's going to take all of the school district, the community, and everyone identifying where we need to work. We can take care of these students. And I'm inspired because I just know that once we begin implementation of all of these great words in our vision and our mission and in our equity statement, and we begin to say that we will not tolerate discrimination, we're going to note that we will be joyful each and every time we see you, and we're going to make a difference in your life.
You can see right here that a lot of people at home are noticing some similar sentiments and words here as well. Educate, inspire, equity, unimpeded. I think that that's a really powerful word there. Joy, the joy of learning. Of course, we want students to be happy in our schools and to develop a lifelong joy of learning. Equity embedded, quality valued. So we certainly thank all of you for contributing to this beautiful word cloud here tonight from the mission and vision statement. And we also have some in the chat as well who are responding. We have all experiences being embraced, as well as the words ownership, inspire. So we thank everyone for their feedback there. We have another statement that was recently developed by the school board, Mrs. Andrews, if you want to go into that now.
I would, because all of these words are so meaningful, they're impactful, and I want the community to know that we mean it when we say that equity focus is our mission for this new strategic plan. Our equity statement reads, the school district of Palm Beach County is committed to dismantling racism and other systems of oppression and inequality and equity. We will create equitable and inclusive schools that ensure students have what they need to be successful in school and life. Achieving racial equity requires proactive and continuous investment in historically marginalized groups who have endured centuries of systematic oppression. The school district of Palm Beach County is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. The school district of Palm Beach County will take ownership for students' academic mastery, emotional intelligence, and social emotional needs by creating environments where students, families, staff, and communities will develop agency and voice. The school district of Palm Beach County acknowledges the existence of and will eliminate systems, processes, and mindsets that perpetuate race, ethnicity, poverty, disability, language status, undocumented status, religious affiliation, gender identity, and sexual orientations as predictors of achievement. The school district of Palm Beach County will embrace, celebrate, and honor our students, families, staff, and community members, and their unique cultural histories while ensuring each student achieves personal and academic success. And so now we're looking at the portrait of a graduate. And you know, having been the school board member for the last 11 years, and then being a teacher and a principal, graduation is the crown jewel of what happens within a school district. A child starts in kindergarten and graduates at 12th grade. And we need to know what we want to see when we see a student graduate. We need to articulate that together, community, because we want to reinvigorate and engage students and teachers and community stakeholders on what we should see once we finished. We know we have to start early, as I said, VPK, 3-year-olds, getting them in school, getting them started. But when they finish, we want them to be ready to be successful, ready to be able to go into the real world, being able to be college and career ready with a positive attitude to make a difference in society. We're going to continue to talk about what the portrait of a graduate should be, but we really want to hear from you, because these are our aspirations of what our children can be and will be, and we will help them get there by painting this portrait of a graduate and following through with each and every student. Each of them have an individual plan that we look at as they move through our school district from year to year. So when they graduate, they will attain all these wonderful things that we'll discuss within our strategic plan that will make us happy that we've done everything that we need to do for student success.
And here's the community's chance to give their feedback on what exactly they think should be included in this portrait of a graduate concept. So if any of you have just hopped on, you're not familiar with Menti, I'm just going to say it one more time here, menti.com, use code 20681444, and tell us what should be included in the portrait of a graduate. Mrs. Andrews, what is your priority? What is the concept that you really want to see our graduates go into the world?
I really want to see them, once they cross that stage, I want to make sure that I can see that they're college or career ready. I would like for us to have an individual plan for students starting in elementary and going right on through the middle school and then high school. And it should show me that when they graduate, they're either going to the armed services, they're going to a career, they're going to college, and they will have the support mechanisms in place to be successful. And I want them to be happy, and I want them to be productive in the community.
Yeah, I think our choice programs that we have and possibly expanding those is one of the ways to really get students career and college ready. So we have that, people agree with that at home, career ready right there, technical skills, ready for a college or a job, self-sufficient, prerequisites to prepare students for their next career goal, and real world life skills to be successful, productive members of society. I think everyone here has some great ideas for what we want to see for our graduates. And if anyone also wants to put it in the chat, your idea for a portrait of a graduate, you're welcome to do that as well. If you don't have access to Menti, we're getting lots of responses here. Which of these stand out to you, Mrs. Andrews?
Well, I like the individual path to a successful life. That's a big deal, because many times when students graduate, we lose contact with them. And I think once they graduate, there should be a mechanism in place within the school district for them to call back and let us know how they're doing. And if they need some help, I think the school district needs to provide that support to them to get them where they need to be as they move forward in their lives.
Definitely. It's really great to see everyone's feedback on this section of our presentation tonight. And next we have the question and answer session. So there have already been a lot of questions going on in the chat. I've been copying those into another document to try to keep track of them. So if you all want to just put some questions in there, again, we're trying to think more long-term for the strategic plan and what you want to see for students over the next several years. So I can start going with some of the questions that have already been asked before. So I'm going way up to the beginning here. Jeff had asked, we know students have lost a lot of learning opportunities and growth during the pandemic. What are the district's plans to help students catch up? And I think this, of course, can go, in terms of summer learning this summer, but also over the next 5 years.
Absolutely. We are right on it within the school district of Palm Beach County. We have a student academic plan where we're actually going to make sure that every child gets a chance to go to summer school so that they can catch up. We're having specialized tutoring. We have summer school clusters for many students who've actually fallen behind. And we're opening up every school to make sure that we have teachers there that will be able to be supportive of our students. So many students are having emotional and social concerns. We're making sure that mental health counselors are there to work with them as we work through the process of trying to bring them back. We've got to get them back. It's not going to be a one-time thing this summer. We've got to put programs. We've got to really imagine how we can do the things necessary for students based on where they are and pulling them to the next level. It'll take about 2 years or more to bring a lot of students back, because some students were behind right before the pandemic. And so we're working on bringing them back. We're spending the money on needs of each individual student during this pandemic, so that we already have the computers out there at each student use, as well as the internet. Thank you to the community access. So we're putting together individual plans for each student. We already know that we have about 51,000 students who are falling behind in Palm Beach County. So we're starting this summer, but we're building individual plans to help them as we move forward.
Thank you for that response. We have a question that was just recently asked. I'm going to bounce back and forth between questions that were asked a while ago and some questions that are just coming up now. From Rebecca, she's asking, how does the school district plan to track whether a student is college or career ready? And are you planning on following and tracking students after graduation? Could that end up somehow being part of the strategic plan?
Well, I want it to be a part of the strategic plan because I think when students graduate, we know some of them are making it, but we know some of them are just graduating. We did improve our high school graduation rates, but I just know when I see a lot of students marching across the stage, I want to be able to go to the school. I want parents to know that there's been a plan of action already developed for that student. It probably started back in elementary, maybe 4th or 5th grade, and it's been moving with that student all the way to high school. And we're going to monitor that. We want to keep the phone numbers and emails of our students. I think we need to have a dedicated person who will be the tracking person for working with students after graduation. It's going to take some additional funding and human resources to do this, but we can't just let our students walk across the stage and we don't know what happened to them. I know sometimes students graduate with training in careers. Many of them are going to the armed service, but we have a significant amount of children that are graduating or not graduating at all, and we lose contact with them, and we cannot afford to do that any longer. We've got to keep up with them for the next few years once they graduate and help them develop plans of action for their success.
Thank you for responding to that question. We have another question from Jeffrey Keller. This one was from a little while at the beginning of our session here, asking about development. He said, Mrs. Andrews, we have talked in the past about the development of the Western communities, especially in Loxahatchee, the Acreage, Westlake. I'm interested in how the district plans to accommodate the growth.
Well, certainly, we're actually going to be building new schools out there. That's already on the agenda through the school district of Palm Beach County because we know that growth is evident. We have excellent schools in the Loxahatchee, Acreage, and Westlake area. We've done a lot of work with the community. We just started a new educational advisory committee for the city of Westlake, and they've actually met maybe 3 times with student participation and working with the school district of Palm Beach County. I definitely work with the Indian Trail Improvement District leaders, as well as the leaders of Loxahatchee. And I always want to get their advice on the kinds of things we can do to make the schools the best. A new high school is coming out there off of North Lake Boulevard, as well as some elementary schools coming. I was just out at Seminole Ridge today, and growth is just bursting out of the seams there. And so we are continuing to talk to the community. We're not going to be just doing it as a school board. That's why we need your voice for this 5-year strategic plan, because the Acreage, Loxahatchee, Westlake, you're going to look totally different within 5 years, and you're changing almost as we speak. And so we want your advice on the things we can do to make it great. You have great schools, but we want a lot of parent input and community input.
We have a question from, I believe, Michelle McGovern asking what kind of additional teacher and staff support is planned in this strategic plan?
Well, we definitely need to do better recruitment, professional development for our teachers. We have great teachers here in Palm Beach County, but we can't overwork them, and we've got to give them a chance to learn. So professional growth and development is critical, and the school district of Palm Beach County will be looking at that as one of the pillars there, that we provide more training, more support for our teachers. And we want to recruit the best and the brightest. So we do have to have a package in Palm Beach County to get the folks that are out there that really truly want to make a difference for our children and those that can make a difference. And so I do believe in community recruiting, working with the community, looking at the kinds of teachers that we need for different parts of our community. No two children are alike. As I said, this equity focus on each individual child. So when we do the recruiting, the professional development support systems in place when they come to Palm Beach County so that we can keep them. Because what happens in the teaching profession, the 3 to 5 years, they're gone if they're really not supported. So we definitely have to give them the support, the professional development, a wonderful compensation package, and definitely have them a part of the community so that they can get support and transition to real life experiences as a member of the community as well as the school district.
Our teachers mean so much to us, and I just want to say for any teachers who might be watching, thank you for all you do. Teacher Appreciation Week is next week, and we appreciate you today, next week, every day, every month. So just had to put that out there. We of course want many more incredible teachers like the ones we have to support our students. Mitzi Johnson is asking, can the plan have some real life experiences for our high school students and seniors, particularly internships, jobs, shadowing? What do you think of that?
Oh, I just love it. I mean, you probably say I love everything, but we've got to get out from the walls of the school. We've got to show students what it's like to be in the real world. That was one of the things I said at the Portrait of a Graduate. I want to see students have real world experiences. And we've got to work and partner with our business community to make sure that they will provide those opportunities for our students to get the real life experiences for seniors as well as juniors. And even some of those kids that are at the middle school level during the summer, we have to start engaging the minds of students early in the process so that they can begin to think about what they truly want to be. When you talk about that portrait of a graduate, if we start really working with their mindset about this can happen, you can be the doctor, you can be the teacher, you can be whatever you want to be. And we're going to provide opportunities for you to go out and see people that do these jobs, and you can do it too. So the district has to put this in the strategic plan because I think that's a valuable part. And we want to be available for all of the students who are truly interested. The career academies are great, but we need more technical and vocational programs, as well as more opportunities for internships, as working with our business partners to make it happen.
Yeah, it's really incredible when students are able to get certifications in school and be ready for that job, sometimes before they're even out of high school, which is incredible. We have a question in Menti, since we're taking some questions from there. Are masks going to continue to be mandatory next school year? This person has a child with an underlying condition, and it's important to this person. Of course, we are here to talk more about the next several years, but that's a question on a lot of people's minds. So where do we stand with face coverings, Ms. Sanders?
Well, I want to tell all of the parents, and I think I said it a little bit in my earlier statement, we hear you. I know how uncomfortable it is to wear a mask all day. When we go to the school board meetings just for a few hours and trying to speak to the public, it's difficult. We know that masks get dirty, all kinds of germs. We know that. We are really concerned about the health and well-being of all of our children. Now, we've got about pretty close to 4 months before we get back to school. No decision has been made about masks for students as well as adults yet. And I am listening to parents, but I'm also listening to healthcare professionals. I'm actually working with the health department, our school board is, because we've got to look at everything that's happening. We just heard yesterday, if you've been vaccinated, you can go outside without a mask. We're still trying to get the vaccines for our students. We're working on making sure all teachers and employees are vaccinated and all of the adults have the vaccine. But we haven't made any decisions on that. I don't want a parent to worry, because I promise you, we will be loud and clear and we will hear your voice. And if you have a student that has an underlying condition, as I said with equity, every student is different, and we have to make sure that we meet the needs of each individual student. So we'll be talking to you as we go forward. We may not even have masks. I'm not sure where we'll be in 4 months, but if it's still there, we'll be working with you personally to take care of your child.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrews. We have one last question for this evening. I know there are a lot of questions in the chat we just didn't get to, so many incredible questions, but I think this is an appropriate one to end this particular feedback session on. People can continue to give their feedback on emailing strategicplan@palmbeachschools.org, just so everyone knows. But William is asking, what did we learn from this last year and what changes have we made to operations going forward? Or how really will this past year contribute to the strategic plan?
Well, we've learned a lot from this pandemic. It's been awful, but we've learned that we needed to have a computer in every child's hand. We needed to make sure that the families had internet access, and thanks to our business partners in our community, we did get that done. We got the computers for every child. We know that there's no one way to learn. We know too that it's best to have a teacher in the classroom with the children, but if for some reason that cannot exist, that the online is the next best thing that we can give them. We've learned too that we are resilient as students, as teachers, as a community, as the school, and we can make sure that we educate our children. This pandemic has been very stressful for everybody, our students included. I mean, they're the young people. They don't know. Graduations were canceled. Right now, we're just trying to get back to a level where we were before. But I would like for us to look at all the things that we learned that are good things that we can carry on and use, because we're going to have a variety of out-of-the-box techniques and skill sets to be used as we move forward with our children. And yes, we're going back to the classroom, but it'll be a new normal. And things that we didn't do before, or we didn't know how to do before, we can do now. Simultaneous teaching is not anything that I like. I just saw it happening today when I visited Seminole Ridge High School. But there's a lot of good stuff we can do with our computer and our technology that's going to help us as we move forward.
Thank you for providing all of these answers, all of this information to your constituents and the greater community this week. I know the Glades area, Western Palm Beach County, they're all so active in our school district and in our schools. So it's great to have them involved in this process. Now, we know people might still have some more questions. You can always visit palmbeachschools.org for more information. Again, just make sure to check with your school's data processor. If you have a child in one of our schools, let them know that you want to make sure that your contact information is correct so we can continue to stay in touch with you. And we have a Facebook Live tomorrow at 5 p.m. at facebook.com/pbcsd. And right there is where you will hear about summer learning opportunities. Mrs. Andrews, anything else you want to mention tonight?
Yeah, just a quickie. I want to thank you, Amy, for being an outstanding moderator. You are awesome. And Kathleen Villavicencia for doing all this work to get us ready, from the Chief of Staff's office, John Shoemaker from IT, and Terry. And a special thank you and shout out from the communities in District 6, starting back at Canal Point, Pahokee, Belglade, and South Bay, traveling on to Arden, Loxahatchee, Westlake, the Acreage, Wellington, Royal Palm Beach, and the Westlake work. You all are awesome. You're already working to make a difference for every child. So we will continue with this strategic plan. And I want to thank everybody else that was on this session today, this meeting today. Your voices are being heard. We're just beginning. So thank you in so many ways. And you see it on the screen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to working with you very soon as we focus on equity for each child.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.